Hello, everyone. This is Tripp, and I am here with my good friend, Diana Butler Bass. How are you?
Hey, Tripp, I'm great. I'm so glad to see you today.
Well, I'm glad to see you and to invite everyone who's listening and or seeing this to a little fun we're going to have over Lent. Jesus D/constructed. So exactly. What do you think's going to happen? Because I'm excited to be doing it with you, and I'm really excited what we've talked about. But what's going to happen, and who is this for?
Well, Tripp, one of the things I love working with you is that we come up with a plan and then that doesn't happen.
Well,
And so, basically, I think what we hope to talk about is to figure out what Jesus means. For those of us who are on a journey of faith into, seeing a more inclusive, loving, just, compassionate world. And, what has Jesus got to do with it? And both you and I have written books where we've tried to sort of recenter our vision on who Jesus is, and sort of blow away the sort of myths that we had at other parts of our lives about Jesus, but yet not get rid of Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty interesting kind of dance, for anybody who's trying to follow faith, trying to, live with integrity. What does it mean to hold on to Jesus while rejecting a whole bunch of bad teaching about Jesus?
Yeah, I definitely think the relationship for many Christians, the numbers growing with Jesus, is complicated, right? And it could be for a number of different reasons. Some they encountered God, Jesus associated with it. They have these positive experiences, and then they have intellectual questions like historical Jesus, and then like, what does it even mean for him to be the Christ? And they have those big intellectual questions. For others, they have this encounter with the divine and experience of trauma and pain in a religious context. Like Jesus is like Dave Matthews Band. The music is great. The fan club, less than. Sorry, Dave Matthews Band fans. And others are sitting here going like, how in the world did Team Jesus get turned into kind of like anti-Jesus politics? And I think for a whole new group of people who are asking questions and doing the infamous deconstruction and scare quotes, it really has been since 2016 on the awareness that a whole bunch of people who are like, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, a homeless first century Jew executed by the domination system of his day, Trump,
Right.
White supremacy, military industrial complex. Like, so there's those intellectual, those traumatic personal reasons, and then kind of the political question, and they're all good reasons. And I think one of the things I loved about your book, Freeing Jesus, I talked about it in my book on Jesus, is that what do you do when you can't shake Jesus, but you can totally dust the sand off your feet on not getting to ask questions and have doubts, and not getting to acknowledge pain and frustration and hurt and harm done by the church, and you definitely don't want that version of political Jesus in your life. We both had those stories, so that's one of the reasons I'm excited about doing this and doing it at Lent.
Yeah, and I love focusing on Jesus at Lent rather than necessarily focusing on us. I find so much Lenten material, so much Lenten piety is more like, oh, woe is me, I'm so terrible, how can I, clean up my life, in despair kind of piety, that it in effect kind of misses the point. The point is that we're moving into this really amazing part of the story of Jesus that we celebrate, that Christians would celebrate over the course of a year. And that really amazing story is about those things that you were just talking about. It's about how an empire notices and then, executes this Jewish rabbi peasant who's causing them trouble in one of the sort of the out provinces of the of the empire. And then that whatever happens afterwards, he doesn't stay quiet.
No.
And instead of getting rid of the problem through violence, apparently the Roman Empire multiplied the problem through some amazing thing that we refer to as the resurrection, and then the power of the community of solidarity and compassion, and that grew around the ending of Jesus' life, and then whatever it was that happened around Easter was just extraordinary. And that story winds up taking over the Roman Empire as one of the great sort of like, how did this happen moments ever in Western history. So that's what we're moving into. We're moving into that story. And when we focus it just on sort of, there's a line in Evelyn Waugh's old book, Brideshead Revisited, where one of the characters talks about me and my own little sins, and how, you know, that the church, it just encourages me and my own little sins, and I take my own little sin and I nurture it and I grow my sin. And sometimes I think Lent is about that, is that we're taking our own sort of badness, our own little private sins, and in effect we're nurturing them, because the worse we make ourselves look, you know, and in fact during Lent, the more glorious, you know, sort of God's salvation looks. And so by there's a kind of a, I think, a sin voyeurism or a self voyeurism that kind of clicks in during Lent.
Yeah.
But really Lent should be driving us towards that remarkable story about who Jesus was and why did this happen and what the heck managed to occur out of a death that Rome intended to end the story of God having any sort of real impact in terms of social and political stuff in the Roman Empire. So the more we can take the story and sort of turn it toward Jesus, and then what we were dealing with then is our misconceptions of that story and how those misconceptions might have taken us down wrong roads, or might have shaped us poorly at a particular time in our life, or might even be causing us right now to want to leave church and say, you know, to heck with it. This story is just full of crap. But the story really isn't. And so that's what you and I want to try to focus on, getting the bad stuff out of the way and opening it up for the power of the story as it needs to be told today.
Well, I am pretty pumped about it. If you are interested in this, just go to JesusDeconstructed.com, and over Lent, we'll get to hang out. There are 6 main sessions each week. There's multiple live Q&As where we'll be digging in to questions and things you have about our books about Jesus. And we'll be introducing those themes in mini lectures, followed by conversations with each other, interactions with you. And like when in all the different homebrew groups, and then especially like in the last group we did together, Diana, the online group and community was tons of fun. Not only they give us amazing questions, but they interacted throughout the time in the group. And we want as many people to join this as desire to. So if you have a complicated relationship with Jesus in this Lent, want to focus less on your own baggage, sin, and issues, and more on the possibilities that dwell in the way of Jesus, and not necessarily know exactly what that looks like, then you can come join us. It's a donation-based class, anywhere from $0 to $1 million, anything in between. And no, it's a stickler. The end, both extremes are absolutely there. So JesusDeconstructed.com, and we're going to have fun. And
I think that's really important for people to know. It's not just like a book study. So we're not going to take your book and study it, or my book and study it. We're going to work. People are welcome to buy our books and read those as we're going through the class.
And multiple copies.
Yeah, that's right. And as many copies as they like. But what we want to do is to take our books as a sort of a jumping off point and really engage where all of this is taking us now. And that's why I said at the beginning, we don't always know exactly where we're going to land, because in part, the joy of working with you is that our conversation make something that neither of us imagined at the beginning.
Mhm.
And so I think that it's going to take us to a place we can't describe now because we haven't been there yet.
Ooh, well, feel the lure and go to JesusDeconstructed.com.